As we continue our top 5 spring football questions, top 5 things I hate. I mean, it's impossible to do. Just 5? I don't like a lot of things. A lot of things. Musicians, social events that people seem to like. So I'm going to keep it to football here. There's a lot. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. But
we can get to the Pac-12 if
you
want to. Well.
Number 5, top 5 Pac-12 spring football questions. Number 5, how much will Jimmy Lake being gone help Washington? And I know this is kind of a weird question because normally you say, well, how much can Kalen DeBoer, their new coach, help them? And I think that he will. But I do think that having a well of negative energy out of the room will help a team that a couple years ago was in the conversation of the playoff before Jimmy Lake took over will change because I don't think their talent has dropped off to reflect the record that Jimmy Lake had. I think that, and maybe it has, maybe the transfer portal's rated them, but I would think that there's still some of those guys that came there to win Pac-12 titles at Washington hanging around that could maybe not win the Pac-12 title, but make this team a lot better than they were the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't close to making the playoff. They made the playoff, right? So, I mean, they've been there. They're one of the few teams not named the same ones we always talk about that's actually broken through. Now, granted, they're a big program and you know, not the name brand that some others are, but people know Washington Huskies football. But, yeah, I mean, I'm very curious. Gosh, who is it? JB on Sunday up there. You know, is he going to be involved this year with the changeover in coaches? Has he developed enough? I mean, that's a local kid that we know that's up there now. But yeah, I mean, it was not good, the old Jimmy Lake era. So I would expect just the change alone will
just a breath of
produce
fresh air.
A bump for them. Yeah, and yeah, you would think that there's still plenty of talent that should be hanging around, or some talent that's still hanging around that can help them make this an easier transition.
Well, and guys like JV on Sunday, he committed to play for Chris Peterson. Like, that's who he went to play for. Chris Peterson retires. So there's got to be guys in that class still, even on transfer portal, you know, notwithstanding. I would think there's still some guys hanging around. Number 4, will Dan Lanning be able to hit the ground running at Oregon? Look, Mario Cristobal had built that program up to a certain level and was in demand because of it. Dan Lanning is coming off a national championship as the defensive coordinator at Georgia. They bring in Bo Nix to pair with Kenny Dillingham, the new offensive coordinator. I don't see any reason to think that Oregon won't be pretty darn good, but I mean, there always is a learning curve with new coaches, and we'll see Dan Lanning, who, you know, if you watch this show or these top 5s at any time, you know how I feel about Dan Lanning. I think he's going to be a great head coach. He's very young, very energetic, and very, you know, plugged into the modern ways of calling a defense, but we'll see. You know, we'll see how that goes.
I think he'll be successful right off the top.
Yeah, I mean, the NIL is not going to allow them to go down much.
Yeah.
They're one of the most heavily involved, and probably the school that if you were to say, like, who's the best position for it, it might be them because of Nike and Phil Knight and all of that. But, yeah, I mean, they're heavy in it. They're recruiting well. They're the top brand in the Pac-12, if not for Lincoln Riley and USC and all the excitement that's stemming from that. You know, Oregon's been the tried and true, and I know Washington's jumped up there and won at Utah, has been in the mix as well and all of that. But Oregon's been kind of the one program out there that has just steadily been pretty good for quite a while now. So yeah, I don't think that there will be a ton of drop off. I mean, Cristobal, well, like he was there for 10 years. You know, I mean, he was there for a pretty short amount of time. So I think Dan Lanning is, you know, coming from Georgia and all the success that they had, well prepared for this job, and he'll have every tool at his disposal. So I don't expect much of a drop off from Oregon.
Did they beat Ohio State last year?
Yeah,
beat the hell. Well, I know it was a close game in score wise, but they went
physically
in there and
mauled
hammered
them. Yeah, physically mauled them.
Yeah.
Number 3, will UCLA improve? Look, they took a little step under Chip Kelly, but I wonder what their ceiling is. Because I don't think that their ceiling under Chip Kelly is what Oregon's ceiling under Chip Kelly was. I think things have changed, and I'm not sure where Chip Kelly fits in this modern thing. And college football, and I'm not sure where UCLA fits. You would think that a school that's located where it is in like one of the most ritzy parts of California would have great facilities and great this and great that, and they don't. Look, their fantastic basketball team still plays in Pauley Pavilion, which hasn't really been updated all that much, but everybody loves Pauley Pavilion. A lot of great things happen there, but, you know, you may want to, you know, get some Wi-Fi in that sucker. If I, you know, I know there's Wi-Fi, but I mean that's my point. So I wonder where UCLA really can improve here. I know they're in the transfer market. They had Dylan Gabriel for a minute, and then he went to Oklahoma.
How long has Kelly been there?
4 years now?
See, that's stability.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they have to do. They have to keep the stability. Doesn't mean he's going to go 11-2 or whatever, but yeah, the stability. They needed stability. And Terry Donahue, when he was there for a long, long time, they were really, really good because they always kind of knew who they were.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to UCLA, I'm not going to try and pretend that they're like a blue blood or anything.
No.
If they weren't in Los Angeles, I don't think anybody would really care about their football program, honestly. For their expectations, I don't think that their expectations are necessarily to go win Pac-12 titles on a regular basis, but I do think that is the expectation when you hire Chip Kelly. And so he's had some time now to build that sucker up. He finished 8-4 last year. I mean, that's decent. That's good. I think if you keep, adding 8 and 4s and, just every, couple of years you're a bit better than that by a game or two, then, you'll stay relevant. You'll stay in the mix of the Pac-12 and probably pick up some big wins. But, you're not going to get much bigger or find, much of a better, person to come in and try to change it than Chip Kelly, whatever doubters he has. I mean, the guy can coach football. So they made that splash. It hasn't been as splashy as expected, but there has been improvement, and I'd expect further improvement this year.
Yeah. Number 2, can Utah build off of last season? Man, look, they had a really good year. I mean, they started off a little rocky, and then Cam Rising takes over at quarterback, and they shot off and won the Pac-12. Had a wild and crazy back and forth Rose Bowl with Ohio State, and I don't see any reason to think that they won't. I mean, the principles are all back for the Utes.
Yeah, that guy's done a good job, hasn't he?
Kyle Whittingham, yeah.
Yeah, he really has. They're physical. I thought with the Cam Rising thing, which, they could have won an extra game or two if he had not been able to start off the top of the year, which they had the Charlie Brewer start. Yeah, they're just solid.
They're a really good program, and there's not a whole lot of room to go up. You're talking about basically can they go undefeated and make the playoff? I don't know, but I do know Cam Rising's not the guy that I'm looking at coming back. I'm looking at Tavion Thomas, their running back. He had ridiculous numbers last year. He was sensational, but Cam Rising is back, and there was clearly a difference with him at quarterback versus Charlie Brewer. I think it was night and day. Charlie was okay to start off with, but that team didn't go on their run until Cam Rising took over and got settled in. So he needs to stay healthy. But with Rising and Thomas, not to mention, they got a lot of other good players back. Utah is going to be firmly in the mix, no doubt.
And number 1, can USC gel in just one offseason? This is going to be interesting to follow under Lincoln Riley because a basketball team made up of a lot of transfers can gel in one offseason because you're talking about 5 guys on the floor at one time. You're not talking about 2 sides of the ball and all the things that they did. And USC's team for this year will mostly be built, at least their stars, you would think, out of the principal players, the guys who are going to be stars, out of the transfer portal, starting with Caleb Williams, a quarterback, chiefly on that one. So can they gel? I mean, they're going to be, really fun to watch in a lot of games. But can they gel enough for how bad they've been for more than a decade? Can they gel enough to really contend in one offseason? It'll be interesting to see what Lincoln Riley can do in that short of time. No matter who he's brought in, you still got to make them play together in all the things that they do. So, I think there's a good chance they could, but even still, there's more questions than answers for me on USC right now.
You got the quarterback.
Yeah.
We know how dynamic he is. He also brought people with him. They've got some great players that they signed. But do they have the meats and potatoes? Do they have those who actually win games? Although I know the skill position people get all the attention. I don't know that answer.
I think USC is going to be really good. I mean, Lincoln Riley is a very good coach. Now he's got his quarterback with him. He's brought in transfer after transfer. I mean, that's not the same roster that it was last year. I did also find it interesting. They've got 3 commits for 2023, and all 3 are 5-stars, which is pretty insane. But, obviously a long way to go there. But he's going to recruit really well. Would have even without NIL, but certainly will even more so with NIL and the big push that USC is making to clearly try and get back to the mountaintop. So, I think expectations are high. I don't know that everybody's ready to crown them Pac-12 champs right out of the gate. I think Oregon has something to say about that. Utah has something to say about that, and perhaps some others. But I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be a lot better. I mean, did y'all watch USC the last few years?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You talking about no juice, nothing. I mean, just boring.
The opposite
football.
of what they are, where they are, and where they reside.
The complete opposite of the Pete Carroll era and what they're about to do. So no, they're getting a little lightning rod, and they're going to be juiced up, and I think they're going to be much better. And if anything, they'll be, offensively much higher paced and electric and fun to watch than whatever that was I was watching the last couple of years, because that was just whatever. But yeah, I think that they're going to be really good. I don't think they're going to make the playoff in year one, but I think they're going to be good.
Could he give that offense, that system, an Art Briles kick in the pants like what Briles did for Baylor?
Yeah,
that's what thinks so. Yeah, that's one of the matchups we always wish we could have seen, those two coaching against each other, which will never happen.
I mean, they're going to have weapons galore, and you got Caleb Williams. I mean, like you said, you got to make sure the trenches are right. But I am curious though with Caleb Williams. It's situation where he was good last year, but he wasn't like Heisman Trophy winning good. I mean, in that Baylor game, I know he's banged up or whatever the case may have been, but that was not a game that you go, oh yeah, there's the best player in college football, or one of the best players in college football.
Baylor got in his head early in that game and never got out.
And that wasn't the only game where he wasn't, but look, he was really good for his age, but he's not a polished product. But another couple of years with Riley, and he'll be right in that same line of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield and all those cats.
By the way,